I look at it, the more I see it, it's the mark of the beast. I mean, as simple as that. It's like in Australia, they're like rounding up people and sending them to camps for refusing the shot. I mean, right now, probably 30 to 50% of the American population has already had COVID. COVID runs, viruses run their course every year. Every year we have colds, we have flus, and then by the end of by the spring, the viruses have run their course. We have herd immunity, and people get on with their lives. I mean, this has been happening as long as people have been. I mean, there's been flus, and every year, the flu kills so many elderly people and even a handful of young people. And I mean, there's nothing abnormal about that except that Fauci did actually commission this from a Chinese bioweapons laboratory. So yeah, this was created where they had a Chinese bioweapons laboratory mix some kind of bat and pangolin virus, and then weaponize it to where it could be infecting humans, because originally those viruses can't transmit to humans.
Oh, that interview really should have ended earlier than that, but I'm glad it didn't because it went off the rails there at the end. That was just a little sampling of the flora and fauna that were out this Saturday for the Support the J6 or Justice for J6 rally by Trump supporters, pro-Trump folks, in which, let's be real, there were more media members and police officers than there were members of that march. That was from Jordan Ewell for TYT, just getting a little audio and hearing about some of these ralliers. All the folks that did attend were clearly the people that were not on the Telegram chat telling them not to attend because they haven't figured out Telegram yet. The theme of the protests was for those arrested, to support those arrested for nonviolent offenses. Nonviolent offenses, okay. Surrounding January 6th, they argued, and have been jailed for too long or have suffered other mistreatments that defy their constitutional rights. Remember when that dude got special vegetarian, vegan meals? Remember the QAnon shaman? I do. But anyway, of course, they said they were gonna come out to support, show solidarity on this day, and US Capitol Police once again had to be prepared. Fearing another violent riot like that of January 6th, US Capitol Police joined forces with other local and federal enforcement agencies, creating a massive security apparatus that featured road closures, layers of fencing, hundreds of officers, a National Guard Corps on standby, and a cavalry lying in wait and helicopters buzzing overhead. It's not clear how many protesters were actually there. The group that organized it, Look Ahead America, declined to offer a guess, which Nelini can weigh in. Never a good answer when the organizers decline to say how many. Anyway, yet protesters seem to be outnumbered by the hundreds of members of the media, the police, and the counter protesters who had gathered to heckle the pro-Trump demonstrators from the sidelines. It appears that it was something around 400, but of course there were more members of the media and more police officers in one of those sort of everyone's taking a picture of the same weirdo kind of moments. Nelini, your response to this and also just the circus of having so many eyeballs on this day.
Well, there was so much good content that happened in there. I mean, here's the thing, right? You have all these folks who are like, justice for us. We're so woe is me. When you actually have political prisoners still to this day from movements of like the American Indian movement, from the Black Panthers, from folks who did free breakfast programs. So, you're gonna miss me with the, oh my God, I try to overthrow the entire government of the United States, and we're the ones that are totally we're oppressed. You're gonna very, very, very much miss me with that. What's interesting that there was so much media there. I think that people are waiting for something else to happen, right? People are hedging their bets that whether it's the Proud Boys, whether it's the folks who led the Capitol insurrection, whether it's the MAGA crowd, that they're going to do something again. And I think, what we've seen is a lot of, which we'll get to later, school board upheaval, right? That has gotten into massive arrests. But I think that that's what tells you is that the police and the media are now more prepared because they're out there more than they were on the 6th. of January. And I just think that the level of disinformation that is out there, like bats, like creating a creating a disease or a virus in a lab in China with bats that are never meant to get to humans. It's just like, what?
Well, the bats were wearing. Fauci, he outfitted a little coat, a little lab coat for the Batman. It was actually his little Robin to his Batman.
Okay.
And they tag team and they ride around in the same car. And it's like, it's a whole thing. It's a conspiracy. Speaking of Batman, though. Batman showed up, listen, Oath Keepers and Proud Boys might have stayed away, but Batman kept it real. Here he is, the Batman. On outside of the Capitol. Do we have that photo? I'll wait. We may not have the photo. Oh, here we go. There he is. This is, I just took some ivermectin.
He's also really outfitted. Like he has all the, like, I want to know what gadget, like, does he actually have like those like bat spades? Like,
yeah.
The bat daggers? Like I am confused or intrigued on what he has in those little pouches.
As Triumph the Comic Insult Dog once said, which one of these buttons calls your mom to tell her to pick you up? That's my favorite ever. So yeah, that gives you a sense. And there, of course, there's like 5 journalists surrounding Batman taking their photo. I happen to know that there were people that day trying to hold a press conference for getting police officers out of public schools in this country. And he was trying to bring some of these journalists who were all focused on the support, the J6, like nonviolent protesters. He was trying to get the journalists over to cover their like very important press conference, and to no avail. And that just gives you a sense of like, it's a little bit of like, the tail that wags the dog in this. Like everyone's kind of waiting for something to pop off. And for sure, you're right. We should be afraid. We should know that, like, especially when it's led by folks like Donald Trump, that riots can and will happen. The difference is that actually Donald Trump did distance himself from this day, even though they did not distance themselves from him. He did not encourage people to go out. In fact, let's go to this. Influential figures on the right discouraged their followers from showing up Saturday, asserting the event was a trap. Baseless rumors ricocheted through social media, alleging that the federal government was attempting to lure demonstrators to Washington to arrest them. The Proud Boys, a group of history of violence that includes participation in the January 6th insurrection, discouraged their members from attending. I love that, like, now they're saying, oh, the federal government is luring us. Yeah, honey, the federal government lured you on January 6th too. We all saw it. They were there speaking. This demonstration was different though. Again, not a lot of high profile Congress people. Marjorie Taylor Greene not even out there. Matt Gaetz, got his own sort of problems, but it was led by this group, Look Ahead America, headed by a man, I'm gonna find his name, that I don't really care who he is, but Matt Brainerd. And this is what Matt Brainerd had to say. He did speak in front of the media. Let's go to that.
Is that there are uniformed officers here who I demand that you respect, you're kind to, you're respectful to, and you're obedient to. They're here to keep us safe. We're counting on them to do that, and we know that they will. There's also many members of the media here. And I make the same request. I make the same request of them. You see somebody, the member of the media, be kind and respectful. They may ask you if you'd like to be interviewed. Now, if you're not used to this, I would recommend that you don't, because we've gotten a lot of misrepresentation.
Okay, here's one man standing in the wind saying, please be respectful to law enforcement and the media at a rally that is celebrating the insurrection and trying to call the people who were arrested for those crimes basically, non-violent political prisoners. In fact, let's go to some of what was said from those rally goers. How did they see January 6th? That's Matt Brainerd, who said that it was non-violent, right? What do they say? What is it? Was it Antifa?
Is January 6th the hoax?
The so-called right-wing violence is
Right-wing violence. How is it a hoax?
Most of it is lies. One man died of medical conditions days later. They came out with a story that he had been bashed over the head with a fire extinguisher. Coroner said no. Family said no. There wasn't a blunt injury on him.
Right. I believe the government perpetrated the attack on the Capitol. Certainly the MAGA people showed up here and walked up there. The people wanted to support Trump because they know he won the election. They know the election was fraud. And I think that the majority of people breaking our beautiful Capitol and busting things, I think they were government people. They were somehow affiliated with Nancy Pelosi and her wicked cabal.
So is that something you just believe, or did you read that somewhere?
I believe it. I saw the people throwing stuff. They were all big old boys. They didn't look like, they're big healthy guys like you, man.
People feel like there was like an element of deep state presence within the January 6th protests. Is that something that you feel?
I feel there were a few plants. Yes, yeah. I do feel like Bill Barr was a plant. I feel like Mitch McConnell is a plant for the Democrats.
Okay, she's laughing through her own conspiracy theory. Nelini, some responses to that, all that logic happening real fast.
Wow. Well, on January 6th, the ruling government was the Trump government, and Republicans, many of who said it's 1776. So you know what? In some way, they are right with their word. But this is, Mitch McConnell, a plant for the deep state, although he literally every step of the way tries to stop any progress from happening. It's just absolutely wild to me. But also, I need to talk about that outfit. That first outfit, I feel like some of these folks are trying to go for a Coachella, rural aesthetic. They're trying to go. It's just very festival type outfit.
Yes.
But with a Davy Crockett little twist to it. And so I'm very unsure as to what the fashion behind these insurrectionists are. But this is what you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear folks who just, no matter what the actual truth is, they are going to believe in what they believe in, which is that the election was stolen. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point, just like they believe the virus was made up, they believe that the virus doesn't actually kill people, even though 600,000 Americans are dead. This is unfortunately where we are at. But I'm curious to see what that's going to turn into next year in midterms and in the following years.
100%. You got to think about the fact that Trump isn't campaigning right now or yet. Mm-hmm. Right. And what happens when there's leadership? This is the other thing is right. I think there's a lot of question as to whether deplatforming works, whether shaming works. And if it's to prevent another sort of either unite the right rally in Charlottesville that claimed the life of Heather Heyer, or this, or the January 6th insurrection that did claim the life of a Capitol Police officer, Brian Sicknick, that it's okay that even if it's a dinky, hilarious, stupid, sort of turnout, it's it shows that actually the amount of that there was some amount of accountability, even though the representatives and the officials and the former president who egged it all on some of them are still in office, right? You got Representative Mo Brooks still in office. You've got no one's been held accountable actually for leading that. In fact, what they should be mad at, if they're gonna do this rally, is they should be mad at the fact that these leaders who egged them on then let them out to dry, right? That they're not actually facing charges for similar crimes of aiding and abetting this insurrection, which, by the way, constitutionally not allowed. Illegal, in fact, after the Civil War. Remember that? So yeah, it's ridiculous and it's funny on a certain level, but it's all it takes is for another election cycle to come up, or Josh Hawley to decide it's his turn to lead whatever else it is, or for a new Oath Keeper type Proud Boy amalgamation to resurge. Once they get out from underneath all of their lawsuits, and you get another Charlottesville. So we will see. I am caught between both laughing at it and also being deathly afraid of it. But at least there were a few more cops. So hey, there's that.
And I think the other thing too, is that, I mean, unfortunately, like people like, I mean, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but the Liz Cheneys of the world are getting censured by the party, but Lauren Boebert and her shooters and all the guns are still around. So it's the leaders that led them to do this have not faced any consequences, even though other leaders in their party have, which is beyond bizarre.
Absolutely.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.